Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jamie the Crafty DIY Guy. Welcome to my channel. Super excited about all of these projects today because they all fall within that easy DIY category. Also, what's great about them is that they're all for Christmas, which is my favorite time of year, and also they all fall within that kind of dollar store range. Now, not everything is from Dollar Tree. Some things I grabbed from Michael's, some things I grabbed from Hobby Lobby and similar stores. But what's great about this project is that you can really find substitutions almost anywhere that you like to shop. So, for example, if you shop at Dollar Tree a lot, then you're going to be able to find some easy substitutions at Dollar Tree to also make all of these projects. Before we get into those, though, I, of course, want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. You guys know who you are. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you are one of the OG crowd, that just means you're part of the original gang. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you're brand new to the channel, maybe even YouTube just recommended the channel to you. Thank you, YouTube, first of all. But I hope that you will stick around and become a Crafty DIY Guy subscriber as well. You can find me on TikTok and Pinterest and YouTube and, well, you're here on YouTube, Instagram and all the other places as well. And let's just get into those projects. All right, everyone, and for project number one, I'm going to be using two of these red trucks. I had previously painted these for another project and then kind of forgot about them, to be honest. And I found them in my stash, and I thought that I could make them a little Christmassy and maybe even something functional for the dining room table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trucks out, and I'm just going to give them a nice bright coat of my red apple spray paint. This is from Rust-Oleum. And I'm just going to totally just cover everything in red, including the tires, because I'm going to give the tires a fresh paint job as well when I take these inside. So this only took one coat. It was great. And I think having that base coat of that red chalk paint down from before definitely helped. Now that these are dry, we're going to go ahead and paint our wheels. I didn't really focus a lot of that red spray paint on the area where the wheels are. That's why you can still see some of the black that's coming through there. But no worry, I'm using Waverly's ink chalk paint for this, and it's going on over top of that spray paint just fine. No issues at all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint up all the wheels on the front, and then I'm also going to paint the, I guess it would be the tread of the wheels. And what you actually do is you hold on to one side of the truck wheel while you're painting everything, and then you, using your finger, you're rolling the wheel from the other side. That way you can paint the tread. I learned that little trick, and because the roofs of the truck are dry, you're able to paint those actually pretty easily. Now that everything is dry, I'm going to go ahead and add my wreaths. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. You can usually find these at Dollar Tree and places like Michael's and, you know, various places like that. Since I'm not going to be hanging these on a tree, I'm actually going to go ahead and just remove these little clips, or this hanger, I guess, from the front of two of these. And we're going to glue these onto the trucks themselves. Now, typically you might want to put something like this in the back of the truck, but we're going to be using the back of the truck for something else. So I'm going to take my wreaths and I'm actually going to put them on the hood of my truck. I'm going to overlap them just a little bit onto the windshield. I don't recommend you doing that if you're actually driving your car, and you would want to put that on the front of your car. But I'm going to make sure that these are going to be seen when they're really cute. And then I am going to go ahead and cut off that little fiber that is there. I think it's one of the hangers that I just forgot to clip off. So clip that off, got the trucks ready to go, and now I'm going to take my candles. These candles, I am going to start to melt the wax at the end here. And I'm just doing that using my lighter here and letting it drip down onto my Katch mat there, because it's not going to drip through to my workstation. Katch is going to catch all of that wax and paint and drips. And then once that end of that candle is soft enough, I'm going to stick it into the back of the truck like so. And then I'm just going to kind of pick away any of that excess wax that might have just dripped down. I'm going to repeat that for both of my trucks. Again, just taking my lighter, kind of lighting up the candle, getting the truck positioned just perfectly. And again, just holding that lighter right to the end of that candle. That way everything is getting nice and soft. That way I'll be able to stick these in the back of those pickup trucks and get this ready to go and have it set up for my holiday dining room table. Speaking of dining room table, how cute did these turn out? This is a close-up of how cute these red trucks are. I absolutely love them. I fell in love with them, and I really love them as candle holders. This is so easy. I picked these trucks up at Michael's. They were less than $1 because they were in the clearance bins. Don't know why they were there, but they were there. I think it's red truck season. You could easily replicate this with some of the Dollar Tree cars that you see in the Crafter Square section as well. Definitely something fun for your holiday dining room table. This next DIY is going to be so easy. I picked up this crate at Dollar Tree. This was in the Dollar Tree Plus section, so this was a $5 crate. I absolutely loved the laser cutout of the tree. I thought that that was such a classic, very elegant box, just the way it looked. I wanted to go ahead and paint mine white because I'm going to put mine in front of my fireplace. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it white. I'm using Rust-Oleum's, just a flat matte white paint, and this is a 2 times the coverage paint, and it works really, really good. On these wood items, I do go ahead and just do 2 coats, even though I probably don't have to. I'm doing the inside and the outside of this because this is going to be kind of an open crate that's going to sit next to my fireplace. My initial thoughts on using this were a couple different ways. I think you could very easily use this for like kindling or something that you may want to have in your fireplace. I don't have a very big fireplace, so I'm not going to have a very big fire, and this could be perfect for that. What I also thought would be really fun to do is to take a bag of scented pine cones. These are cinnamon scented pine cones, and I am just going to open up this bag. I picked these up, I believe, when I went to Hobby Lobby, and I think they were like $4 or something like that. You could also use just regular pine cones if you happen to live near some pine trees. And I just thought that adding this very simply to this box is such a cute way to display this great little box. Top it off with a holiday pick of some kind, and you've got the cutest little pine cone holder. Again, you could use it for kindling or twigs. You could put, this would be a great gift basket base. I think there's a lot of really cool and fun ideas you can do with this one. And for my next project, I'm going to use a piece of this wood. Now, you can find these types of pieces of wood really anywhere. You can find them at Michael's. You can find them at Hobby Lobby. Even Dollar Tree is starting to sell wood pieces. Also, I have these wood letters. There are 2 letters in each one of these packages, and I'm actually going to be spray painting all of them. I'm going to spray paint them all this bright apple orange red, and I'm going to be doing that because I'm using these for actually 2 different projects. So for the first project, we'll be spelling out the word joy. And for the second project, can you guess what we'll be spelling out again? You're right. We're going to be spelling out joy. Now, for that piece of wood, I'm also going to spray paint that. You could use chalk paint if you want to. I am a spray paint kind of guy. Love spray painting, and I will spray paint as long as the weather is permitting me to do so. And thankfully, today was a very nice sunny day outside, so I took advantage of it. Now, for the first set of my joy letters, I'm going to take them and I'm going to arrange them on my piece of wood. Now, that one side I did not finish because that's going to be hanging up against the wall. Now, if you wanted to, instead of painting this, you could use the Dollar Tree vinyl and cover this. That would be beautiful, especially with those red letters. But for me, I am going to keep mine very simple, red and white. Now, you can have fun with these letters. You could put them vertical, you could put them horizontal, you could kind of stagger them like I'm going to do here, kind of making them look a little more modern. But I think for mine, I'm going to go a little more traditional with mine, and I am going to put the J up in the upper left-hand corner, the Y in the bottom right-hand corner, and then kind of center my O between the 2 letters there. Now, for the letters, because you want to make sure that you have good placement with these, and because I always eyeball everything, I don't ever use a ruler. I am going to place my Y down first. Why, you ask? Just because I wanted to grab that one first. And I am going to make sure that that Y is positioned where I want it to be. I'm going to make sure that I've got the proper finger widths and such between that, and then kind of rub off any of the glue that might have seeped through there, because I'm always a little heavy-handed with the glue. And then for the J, I'm going to go ahead and position that one first. That way I have an idea of where my J's and my Y are, and then I also know where to kind of put the O in the middle of those. So if the J and the Y kind of end up being a little wonky, then at least I've got a option of where to put that O in the middle of that. So hopefully that's making sense. Again, just kind of eyeballing this. I've got the fingers width plan here, and just kind of making sure that that's stuck down, and then also kind of clearing away any of the seepage. And then for the O, we're going to make sure that that O is kind of centered like this in the center there. And again, just going to be adding some glue to the back of this. By the way, I'm using Surebonder. This is their wood glue for this particular one. Since these are wood letters and I'm gluing it onto a wood sign, I thought that that would be the best use of my glue. I love working with my Surebonder glue guns, and they have all different types of glue, which is great. And it's all in the stick format. They've also got this like crazy like vat of glue that you can get to if you're doing a lot of really heavy projects. Now, my floral pieces there, these are actually just left over from a floral pick that I kind of destroyed. And I kept all of the pieces intact, or at least the ones that I didn't use from the previous one. And now I'm just going to kind of arrange them in the bottom corner here. And I'm going to add some of the pine pieces. I'm going to add some of the sparkly pieces. I'm going to go in with even pieces of the ribbon that were left over there. And we're just going to kind of make this into a bundle that is going to be on the corner of this sign. And I'm just doing that with my glue gun. I'm using the same exact glue gun that I used before. It'll hold up just fine. I'm taking that jingle bell, which still will jingle, by the way, and then I'm going to finish it off with some of these berries that I'm just going to kind of stick in there. I'm going to add some hot glue onto the end of it, and then I'm just going to stick it down in there just behind the bell, and then I'm going to repeat it with one more of these berries that I'm just going to pull apart from this stem. Again, just adding a little bit of hot glue down there and then gluing it right down into place. And you've got the cutest little sign. I love the way that this looks. This is a smaller sign, so you could put it on a door, I guess, feasibly if you wanted to. I might use this on an interior door, or this could even be really cute as an ornament, especially if you have a really large Christmas tree. There's a lot of really fun things that you can do with this. I also think it would be a really cute doorknob hanger, actually. Now for my next project, I'm going to take one of these wood circles from Crafter's Square Dollar Tree. I'm also using these sparkly pom-poms that I picked up at Crafter's Square from Dollar Tree also. And for this, we're going to be making a really fun ornament. Now I'm taking my circle outside, again, using my favorite paint, the spray paint. This is the 2 times the coverage by Rust-Oleum. This is a matte white finish, so you don't have to worry about any gloss or any extra shine or anything. I personally just like working with this color, this matte finish, with just about all of my spray paints, except for my metallics, of course. But I'm going to go ahead and spray paint this, and I'm going to do it on just the one side because, again, this is going to be something that's just going to hang like either on a wall or as an ornament, but the back side of it won't be exposed. If you want to paint both sides of it, by all means, go for it. Now, I'm going to take all of my pom-poms out of the bag, and I am going to start gluing these all around the edges of my circle. And to do that, I'm just swapping up my glue gun here. This is just an all-purpose glue gun, and I am going to glue all of these little pom-poms all the way down and around, making sure that I represent each one of the colors in the rainbow of pom-poms that are available for me there. And I'm literally just making sure that I grab a different pom-pom each time. And then when I get to the end, I am going to just start it all over again, working with the other colors in that same order that I did on the previous one. Now, you can put enough hot glue on there to probably glue, I don't know, 3 or 4 pom-poms at a time. So it really just depends on how quickly you can add these pom-poms. But adding the smaller circles of glue is not really that big of a deal, or adding the smaller swirls of glue, I should say, is not that big of a deal. So once you've got your ornament completely covered in the pom-poms, I'm going to kind of squish one aside just a little bit so I can just add one more white color in the middle there. You've got something that looks really cute like this. Now, this is really fun, and this is where the other letters are going to come in. I'm going to glue the joy letters to this. Now, I'm going to take the O and put that directly in the center. That way it covers up that hole in the top. You might be thinking, wait a minute, you said this was going to be an ornament. But remember, I want this to hang flat. So there's a reason why I'm not putting the there's a reason why I'm covering up that hole. So you'll see in just a minute. I'm not making much sense today. All right, so my J, I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And obviously there's a little bit of the Y and the J that overlap, so you don't have to put glue on those parts. So for the Y, I'm just kind of putting it towards the center parts of the Y. And then I kind of did the same thing for the J as well. So once you've got your joy glued down, this is where you'll want to now add your hanger part of this. Now, I did hold these in place. Let me just tell you that before I let them go. And they did take really well. Now, on this back side here, I'm just taking a piece of this silver ribbon that I picked up, and it's kind of a stretchy ribbon. So I am going to go ahead and just tie 2 knots in each end of it, kind of like so. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm actually just going to use a staple gun for this, because this is going to be so easy. It's a nice thick piece of wood. It's going to hold it. That staple gun is also by Surebonder, by the way. And that is going to hang this perfectly. Now, you will see with that hanger just on the back side, that is why you can kind of get away with not covering or painting that backside. How cute is this? I really love the way this looks. This is just hanging on my wall right now, but it's definitely going to go on my other tree, which I think is going to be in my living room. Now for this one, we're going to speed on in that race car, and we're going to add a tree. If you drive a convertible like I do, you have to get your Christmas tree home some way. So for my car, I am spray painting this a metallic gold. Once that metallic gold is nice and dry, I'm going to add a nice glob of glue onto the back. If I was really transporting this Christmas tree in my convertible, I would be tying it down, but we're not going to get that fancy because we can use glue for this. I'm going to take my bottle brush tree, which also did come from Dollar Tree, by the way, and so did the car. And I'm just going to hold that into place until the car and the glue come together. I'm going to fluff up where my fingers were, and bam, you've got the cutest little piece of decor. This could be great in a man cave. You could sneak some Christmas decor maybe into your son's room or your daughter's room if she likes a sports car. There's no reason why you couldn't spray paint this another color. I really, really love this one, and this will be part of my coffee table decor for the holidays. Now, you might think that this next DIY is for Mr. Otis because I am using a cat bowl as part of the materials, but it's not. The cat bowl, the bottle brush tree, the vase, and these LED lights are all from Dollar Tree. First thing we're going to do is take our bowl outside, and we're going to spray paint it a metallic antique gold. And this is just kind of my theme color for this year, and I bought a lot of antique gold paint, so get used to the color. You're going to see quite a bit of it. And then for this, these sets of LED lights, this comes with this little light here that's incredibly hard to get out of this package. And I hope that the light holds up just as good as the packaging does, because good Lord, this sucker was hard to get into. But once I did finally get into it, what you have to do with this is you actually have to take it apart, because there is a piece of paper that is in there that is actually blocking the magnet or the battery from being able to make this thing work. So once you've kind of taken it apart, you're going to flip the battery out of it, and then you're going to see that little piece of paper. Get rid of that, assemble it back together, and when you screw it back together, that is where you start to see the bright, shiny lights. Now, this will change colors. This goes from green to red to white to a purpley color, and you do want to make sure that it lays flat in the bottom of your glass vase. Now, this is the shorter of the glass vases that they do have at Dollar Tree. Now, I have another one of my bottle brush trees, so I'm going to take this, and this one I am going to glue into place because this one is going to be important that this one doesn't move around. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going to glue this in front of that light that I put down in there. Now remember, the light is not glued in there because you're going to have to take that light in and out of there. And we're going to we don't want that to be glued down because then obviously you can't turn this off. Now the snow I have here, this is also from Dollar Tree, and I am going to just kind of move the snow around. I'm going to take one of these tools here and just kind of work the snow around the tree and to also cover up that light. And as you can see, it starts to shine through. I even love the way that some of the static on the inside of the bottle is keeping some of that snow on the inside of that bottle, making it look like it really is a snowy scene. And then because my cat bowl is now dry, I'm going to create something on the top of that. But before I do that, I want to show you a little trick. Add a little bit of hot glue inside of your snow bag, and then you can seal this sucker up. That way it doesn't fall off the shelf and get snow all over your workstation like it did the first time I used it. So for the hot glue, that hot glue, you might think I'm gluing this to the top of the vase. I'm actually not. What I'm doing is I'm creating kind of like a seal that is going to help keep this on top of the vase. Now, I added a round kind of a thicker part, and you can see here that it holds it in place, but it still allows me to move it up and down. And that's just so it doesn't slide off of here. Now for the top of that, I'm just going to add a battery powered candle, and boom, you've got a cute little candelabra or candle scene here. If I can find the larger Dollar Tree glass vase, I'm definitely going to make another one of these. I think that this is such a cute idea for Christmas. Now, my next idea is also a Dollar Tree item here. This is a Rudolph that you can get at Dollar Tree. They make a Santa, and I think they're making a snowman as well. I'm going to be using this twine and also this green kind of leafy ribbon that I picked up from, I believe I got this on Amazon. I've had it in my stash for quite a while. Now we're going to give Rudolph a little facelift. So we're going to take his nose off. We're going to put his nose aside, and then we're going to go ahead and get rid of his antlers and put those off to the side. Do not throw them away though. We are going to be using all of these items again, and you'll just want to make sure that when you're prying these off that you're using like a flat tip screwdriver, and definitely go really slow with that because you don't want to hurt yourself, but they will eventually come off. And then just go ahead and take this twine. You can cut it off at the middle there or at the bottom, wherever you want. You can save it again and use it for another project. You won't be using it for this particular project, but you could very easily reuse this if you wanted to. And then, of course, that Dollar Tree tag, you're going to get rid of that and put that aside. So for the first part, again, we're going to be using this kind of green twine, or this green leafy twine, and then we're going to use this regular twine. Now, if you also had some Dollar Tree twine, or if you had some Dollar Tree nautical rope, that would work as well. I do think the nautical rope would be a little thick for this type of application, but you could figure out a different way to cover the Rudolph face with the twine or with the nautical rope. Again, totally up to you. I think that the rope is just a little too thick for the design that I'm doing here, but I would love to see it if you did attempt this with the Dollar Tree nautical rope. So all I'm going to do is take my twine here, and this is the twine that I did pick up from Amazon, by the way, and I am just going to go all around the edges of my Rudolph and just literally surround him in twine. And as I'm working all of this around and around and around, I'm eventually going to start bringing this down to the center of my Rudolph as well. So the entire face of Rudolph is going to be covered in twine. Now, you are going to have a lot of hot glue that is going to glob and get all over the place. But guess what? Don't worry about that, because I'm going to show you a little trick that you can do that you will get rid of a lot of that. And as you can see, when you get towards the ears, you can kind of twist it and kind of bend it. And then you just kind of keep going and keep filling in all of those areas. And you can see some of the glue splats that I was talking about. If you're a little heavy-handed with the glue like I am, it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you, I have a foolproof way to show you how to get rid of a lot of those. It's not going to be a problem. And then the twine, you're just going to keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping until you've got this completely filled in. And as you get a little closer to being done, you may need a little pair of tweezers or a screwdriver or something just to help you kind of get into some of those corners. But trust me, when it's all done, you've got something that looks like this. I think it's super, super cute. And now we're going to get rid of those glue marks and some of those frayed edges. All you're going to do is take a lighter and just literally start burning away some of that. Now, when you do this, that glue is going to get hot again because it's going to get activated, but not to worry, just be very careful doing it. Now, for my antlers, I'm planning on wrapping them in this green leafy twine. However, I need to paint these, so I took them outside and I spray painted them green. I did paint the wrong side, but I'm going to go for it. My reindeer is going to march to the beat of his own drum. And his antlers are going to be put on backwards. But for this part, I don't want to completely wrap the antlers up in this green twine. One, because I really just don't have enough of it, but also because I didn't want to completely cover it. And you'll see that once I've got everything wrapped on here, it does actually make a very big impression and it looks really, really cute when it's done. Now, for the twine pieces, as you're kind of working up your antlers, because they are curved, you may need to kind of use some hot glue to kind of glue some of these pieces in place. Don't worry about that. That is actually really, really easy to do, especially when you're doing it on the back side there. And then as you're wrapping, just make sure that you're also covering up that little hole that was in the top of each one of the antlers for your twine to go through. And you can even use that hole like I'm doing and just kind of poke some of your leafy twine right through there and you'll be able to cover this up easily. Now, if you can't find this leafy twine, which I purchased on Amazon eons ago, you could find all kinds of different substitutions. You could even just use a different colored twine. You could use a green twine. You could use a different color nautical rope. There's a lot of different options. You could even use a ribbon if you wanted to. I think that would be really fun. I do recommend either having some finger protectors on hand or a screwdriver. And this is the part that I kind of realized, oopsie, I think his antlers are backwards, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to make it work. He's going to be a Rudolph with backward antlers. So once I kind of figured out where I wanted to place them, I'm going to add a generous amount of hot glue, and then I'm just going to hold that antler into place, and then I'm going to repeat it with the other process or the other side as well, making sure that the antler is holding steady and holding on to the rope. The great thing about that hot glue is that it will grip onto that rope very, very nicely, and they will eventually hold into place. And then for his nose, I took that out and I spray painted that red because he is Rudolph after all. And I wanted to add a generous amount of hot glue to the middle, put Rudolph's nose where his nose was supposed to be, and made the cutest little wall hanging. Now you could add this to a wreath. You could add this to a Christmas tree, again, if you had a really large Christmas tree, or you can just hang it on the wall like I've got here. I did just add a very simple rope hanger on the back of it, and I love it. And for my next DIY, we're going to be using this stool. This is a little footstool that I picked up at Dollar Tree. This was in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and it was $5. Mr. Otis has already stood on it a couple times. That's why it has cat hair all over it. But we are going to fix that with a Dollar Tree bandana. This is just a Dollar Tree bandana. It is the buffalo check. And we are going to make this cutest little footstool that's going to sit next to my chair in my living room, right where my Christmas tree is going to go. For the bandana, I'm just going to lay it out flat. You could iron this if you want to, but I don't really think it's necessary. It's kind of like a poly blend. And then for the footstool, you're just going to put this top down on top of the bandana, and you are just going to start stapling. You'll definitely need a staple gun for this versus a regular staple, because it is kind of a heavier wood ring in there, and you want to make sure that your staples will go all the way through. Now, I kind of do this like a clock. I start at 12 o'clock, then I go to 6 o'clock, then I go to 3 o'clock, then I go to 9 o'clock, kind of pulling each one of those corners together. And then as I am kind of working my staple gun around, I am also pulling on the fabric as I'm going around the corners and around the circle. And then when you get to the areas where you've got a bulk of the fabric, what I will do is almost create a pleat and just make it as straight as possible, and then pull that pleat up as well. I apologize for the camera angles here. It's kind of hard to see exactly what I'm doing, but basically all you want to do is just make sure that when you are pulling your fabric up, that you're just pulling it nice and tight and flat, and making sure that you've got some nice creases there. That's why if you start with the clock kind of idea, going with 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then the other kind of numbers, if you will, on each one of the corners kind of tend to fold together a little bit easier, making some really nice, straight, crisp seams. Now, for the excess, after everything has been stapled and put into place, then I'm going to go through and cut away any of this excess bandana. And I'm just doing this with a small pair of scissors. That way I can get in and really get super close to that. And then if you have any frayed pieces that you want to just go back in and trim away, you certainly could do that. You could also use hot glue and just go back in and just kind of reinforce any of those kind of frayed pieces, just to make sure that none of those are hanging down past your footstool, where people would see that you covered it up with a Dollar Tree bandana. God forbid they see that. Then as you can see, if I go back through and just kind of tighten up anything with the staples, or remove any of these pieces that are just kind of excess and hanging out, you can use your staple gun a lot for this. It is your best friend. And then again, just going through and trimming off those excess pieces, making sure that you've got everything completely covered and ready to go for the next step. Now, for the next step, I thought that the legs were really cute the way that they were, but I did want to go ahead and darken mine up a little bit. So I'm going to use my Waverly Antiquing Wax. And by the way, how many staples do you think I used? It looks like I used like 10,000 staples to hold that bandana on. But you know what? It ain't coming off. So anyway, back to the Antiquing Wax. I just rubbed it around until I had the desired color that I liked. And once it's all done, this is what it looks like. How adorable is this cute little footstool? It is perfect for Christmas. I can set it up next to my tree. I can set it up next to my chair by the fireplace. It is such a cute addition, and it was $6 to have this done, completely done. $6. This next project is going to involve one of these trays. This is from the Dollar Tree Plus section. It was $5. And also, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree vinyl. But guess what? We are not going to be needing a cutting machine of any kind for this project. So take your tray. You can paint it with your chalk paint if you want. I'm using, guess what? My spray paint again. And I'm using that same white Rust-Oleum flat matte finished white spray paint. And I am going to make sure that I'm doing the edges on the inside. I'm also doing the sides on the outside, and then also making sure that I'm getting inside of the handles. Now, the bottom part of that tray, where you can see I'm kind of not spray painting at all, I'm not going to worry about that as much, because I really want to focus on the edges, the insides, and the outsides of this, because the bottom part, we are actually going to be covering that, so you're not even going to see that. So no worries at all. Now, the Dollar Tree vinyl is a permanent vinyl, or they say it's a permanent vinyl, and you can cut this down very easily to cover the bottom of your tray. what's great about this particular roll of vinyl is that because it is this buffalo plaid here, this buffalo check, it is, believe it or not, you can cut it down to be perfect sized for the inside of this tray. That was pure luck. The two black lines that the black lines that are on the actual vinyl itself just happen to match up with the interior of the tray. So I'm not sure if that made sense, but it will make sense in just a minute here. So now that you've got the piece of vinyl cut that you need, now I think you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So if I were to take this and just fold it over, you can see how the insides are going to really match up with that black line on the left where my thumb is and on the right where my thumb is. So I am going to now cut right along that line. This is great because you don't have to measure. You don't have to get out your ruler or a straight edge. You can literally just eyeball it and go right along that black checked line as you're doing that. And you're going to do that on both sides of this. So once you've got this done on both sides of it, your vinyl is going to fit perfectly inside of the tray. Now, I have not peeled away this yet because what I'm going to do is just kind of measure where I need to cut the end. So all I did was fit the vinyl in there and then just took it, folded it down on the edge there, and then I'm going to cut it right on that fold line. That way I know that this vinyl will fit down inside of the interior of my tray. Now for this, again, you can follow those grid lines. I think for this one, I'm following really more so the fold than anything. It overlapped just a wee little bit, but you couldn't really even tell. So not a big deal with this one. And the great thing about it is if you mess it up, you've got more vinyl there on the left-hand side that you could easily fix this if you needed to. So now that I made sure again that everything is going to fit properly inside of the tray, it is time to go ahead and peel away the backing of this. Now, the peeling away of this is kind of pretty much like any other Dollar Tree product. It does take a little while, but once you get the hang of it, take your vinyl, roll it up, take that little edge of it that's sticky right now, make sure that you've got it lined up properly inside of your tray. I have not pulled away the backing as of yet. And then once you start to roll out your vinyl, you can use your hands, you can use a credit card, you could use a piece of cardboard. I am going to grab my other cutting machine tool, and that is going to help me kind of smooth everything out. Again, if you have a credit card in your wallet, if you have an expired gift card, if you have a sturdy piece of cardboard, or if you're lucky enough to find the tool that Dollar Tree sells that also is very similar to the one that I'm holding, you can totally do this and rub it flat just like I'm doing, getting rid of all the air bubbles, getting rid of all of the, kind of random air bubbles that really would pop up for this. This surprisingly laid really nicely for me. I was really happy with the way that this turned out, and it held really well. I didn't use any extra glue or anything. And when you are done, you've got the cutest little tray. Now, for this tray, I'm going to show you what it looks like just with nothing in it at all, but think of the possibilities. This could be a great tray that you make with your kids where you could put Santa's cookies on. You could use this on a coffee table and stage some of your Christmas candles or ornaments. I think that there's a lot of really fun ideas that you can do with this tray, and I was super, super happy with this, and I was super happy with the Dollar Tree vinyl. Now, I don't know about your Christmas, but my Christmas is not complete without a little bit of bling. I'm taking one of these plastic candy jars and also some of this adhesive diamond wrap from Dollar Tree, and I am going to just create a little bling bowl that I can set ornaments in. I can serve candy in it. I can do anything I want with it because it is my bling bowl. Now, if you've not worked with this adhesive diamond wrap before, it is great. It is literally like a giant sticker. cover. And what's great about it is that you can also cut it. So I'm going to cut it for the same thickness as the width of my bowl. And we are going to take this and we're going to wrap it all the way around the bowl. Now, you will need at least 1.5 of these kind of strips, but don't worry, one package of diamond wrap is going to be more than enough to be able to go around this. Now, the backing is adhesive, but I am going to add just a little bit of hot glue just to go ahead and help reinforce and really make sure that that is good and held and strong. And then I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to squish it down, and then I'm going to wrap all the way around. And when you get to that end there, that's when you just cut your other piece and you'll just go back through and wrap it until you've got something that looks just like this. Now you've got the fluted part or the feet part of this bowl also that you want to cover, and one strip of diamond wrap will go all the way around that lower part. You'll have to cut off, I think it was like 4 or 5 little pieces of the diamond wrap at the end of it, but not to worry. The thickness is perfect for this. And then if you really wanted to, you could wrap the rest of the stem. You could wrap the bottom of it. You've got the extra diamond wrap to be able to do that. I chose to just kind of keep the crystal and the diamond portion kind of showing, if you will, the plastic crystal part of it anyway. And then as you can see, again, this diamond wrap has that adhesive back to it, and it literally does just stick down. And because this has that really cool kind of octagon shape as you're working your way around, the diamond wrap is super flexible and it will completely cover everything really, really easily. And it will make your life really pretty easy, because usually the stickiness of this diamond wrap is really strong. And check out the little bling bowl that I made here. Now, you get to control the bling factor because you can put anything you want in it. This just has an oversized Christmas pick right now, but I added some decorative lights, and you've got a very cute setup. You could put candy in this, you could put florals in this, you could put floating candles in this. I think that there's a lot of really, really cool ideas you could do with this particular bowl. And now for my last DIY, we are going to make something for Santa Claus and for his cookies. This is going to be a really cute kitchen accent. We're going to use some wood beads. I've got some stickers from Dollar Tree. I've got some twine. And then that rolling pin did come from Hobby Lobby. I think my twine might be a little thick, so I will end up switching to a Dollar Tree twine. I'm going to take my rolling pin and just make sure that this is nice and smooth and sanded. And I'm just going to do that and then just kind of wipe off any of the excess sawdust that might be still on there. And then for my lettering, I am going to try and rip this plastic off. The plastic is extremely strong. Don't you think it's funny how sometimes you can't get into the actual packaging itself, but the item that it's packaged in sometimes will be more fragile than the packaging? I just think that's hilarious. I'm going to spell out cookies for Santa using my stickers here. And after I have cookies for Santa completely spelled out all the way around, I am going to take some white antiquing wax and I'm going to cover this up in that. Now, for some reason, I'm a bonehead. That part did not film. I forgot to film while I was doing it, but you'll see kind of what it looks like when I put it off to the side here. You can kind of see it looks a little dusty, like it was covered in flour maybe. Now, I am going to take a piece of twine, and I did end up switching to the thinner Dollar Tree twine, and I'm just going to thread my twine with some beads, and I'm just going to alternate. I'm going to use 2 red and then 1 white, and then 2 red and then 1 white, and just kind of create this tassel, if you will, or this garland out of this these beads. And what we're going to do is create something that I think would be really, really cute for a tiered tray, perhaps in the kitchen. Or this could be something that you also leave the night of, Santa Claus, when Santa's coming to bring the presents and you are making cookies with the kids. This is something that you can leave as a little note for Santa so he knows where his cookies are. By the way, if you're wondering why the twine at the end of that is so stiff, I did take some hot glue and just added the hot glue to the end of that twine. That way everything is nice and stiff and it makes it really, really easy to thread all of my beads. So once I've got the beads all thread and ready to go, I do need to attach them to my rolling pin. So what I'm going to do with my rolling pin is I'm actually going to take a very small drill bit. Obviously be very careful when you are doing this, but I'm going to take a drill bit and I'm going to drill into the handle of my rolling pin because I'm going to attach this twine directly to that rolling pin. I just added a little bit of hot glue into the hole that I drilled, and then I'm just going to take my beads and just feed them down to the end of where it connects to the rolling pin. That way it helps hold it in two different ways because you've got the glue on the end of the twine, but then you've got the glue that's on the ends of the beads there. And I love the way that that rolling pin kind of looks like it's been dusted with flour, like you literally were just making cookies for Santa. Now, this next part is going to be optional. You can either remove the stickers like I'm going to really kind of give this a homemade cookie kind of a feel, or you can leave your lettering on. And when it's all done, you've got the perfect little kitchen garland or tassel that you can leave out with your cookies for Santa. I think this would be so cute on a tiered tray in your kitchen, but also put it around the plate where Santa's cookies are going to be. You can even tie it to a cookie jar, and I think that that would be adorable. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed those projects today. If you did, let me know which ones were your favorite in the comments below. I would have to say that I think my favorites are the red truck candle holders. I'm super, super partial to those, and literally made that project probably like 6 or 7 months ago and had just been hanging on to it and can't believe I deleted that footage of me spray painting it or painting them the first time with the chalk paint. But hey, at least I still had the trucks, right? All right, guys, take care. Hope to see you soon. Bye.